Hey, this is the C&D channel. This is Chris. I'm flying solo today, and this is MMA for you. Today I will be talking about the event that just happened, WEC 50, Dominic Cruz versus Joseph Benavidez 2. Also, I noticed that we are actually getting some watchers here, so feel free to leave any questions or comments. Just try not to troll me, but I have a feeling you guys will. So I will be watching for the trolls. I know you're there. But anyways, before I get into this, I'd like to thank our sponsor, Go Business 123. Please visit the website www.gobusiness123.com for needs with business consultation, resume building, and job postings. Also, Go Business 123 is providing a service for $19.99. They'll enhance and build your resume, give you a 15-minute free mock interview, and put your resume on their website for employers to see. They are also putting more jobs on their site in the upcoming weeks. So let's get to it. I want to talk first about the main event, Joseph Benavidez versus Dominic Cruz. Dominic Cruz won by split decision. As far as where I feel Dominic Cruz will go next, I definitely see a fight with good old Scotty Young Gun Jorgensen in the future. I think it'll be a very interesting fight. They're both wrestlers, both have some pretty good hands. As far as Benavidez goes, he can really run the gamut. He's a really good fighter. Unless the WEC starts putting the flyweight division or 125 division. He'll stay at 135, but they're good fights for him against like Brian Bowles, former champion, Antonio Buenuelos, Damacio Page, just to name a few guys. If he wants to fight Brad Pickett, that's a good fight too. As far as the performances go, it was a close fight. That was the thing. I didn't really feel that Cruz was all there. He didn't really establish range as much as he should have. Obviously, he ended up winning the fight. He kept getting takedowns near the end of the round, which is a good strategy. That always builds up points. But, I don't think we saw his best. We didn't see his worst either, but definitely not his best. Benavidez did really good. Obviously, it's a big improvement from his first fight if he got the split decision. There's a lot of argument as far as who won. I think Cruz was a little more clear-cut. I know Benavidez got one round. You can argue two. I can't really see three. I don't really see how you can argue three too much. 1 or 2 rounds for him. The thing with Benavidez, though, he's always going to have that reach disadvantage that he's fighting at 135. There's some big guys at 135, some really tall guys, and Benavidez is one of the smaller guys. He does make up for it. He's a very scrappy guy, good wrestling, very strong guy, too. But definitely, once the flyweight division opens up, hopefully he'll move to that division and possibly rule it. The next fight I want to talk about is Anthony Showtime Pettis versus Shane Roller. Very impressed with Anthony Pettis here. His takedown defense was phenomenal. I mean, he was working with Funky Ben Askren. Really good stuff from him. I mean, he was stuffing Roller left and right. I was really surprised. He even got top control on Roller. One time when Roller got on top of him from mount, he reversed it using the cage. I mean, it just his ring awareness that day was just all there. I mean, his striking was there too. I was really impressed with Pettis. He was doing capoeira kicks. He was busting an Eve Edward versus Josh Thompson kick from behind, where the guy can't even see him really. He was just being very creative. Shane Roller's performance, though, I wasn't too impressed with it. Very one-dimensional, very just wrestling-centric. I mean, he'd throw wild haymakers. Some connected, some wouldn't. He'd throw like a 1-2 haymaker combo and then go for the takedown. He's kind of telegraphing his shots. And I think that also allowed his wrestling to get stuffed so well. Obviously, Pettis just looked really good. I mean, he won the fight in the last 10 seconds of the fight by triangle choke. I mean, this guy is just. It's going to be very interesting to see where he goes. He's only like 23 also. Pettis, I mean. I do feel that Pettis is most likely going to get the next shot against one of my favorite fighters, Smooth Ben Henderson. Very interesting fight. Two guys. Ben likes to use his wrestling a lot, improving his hands, great guillotine, but Pettis, great. He's won fights by triangle choke, so he does have the jiu-jitsu chops. His stand-up's really good, and it looks like his takedown defense is really good too. Really looking forward to Pettis versus Henderson. If it does happen, I'm sure it will. As far as Roller goes, he in the WC, I do feel he's really up there, like the top 5, 155, fighters in that division. I mean, if he wanted to fight Kamal Shelton-Roos or like Radcliffe or another guy who won earlier today, Palashetsky, he can even fight Jamie Varner, or Donald Cerrone, and they'd still be good fights. Shane Roller is, he's definitely up there as far as the WEC ranks go. I don't know how well he'd do in the UFC, but in the WEC, he's definitely one of their higher of 155ers for sure. The next fight I want to talk about is Team Alpha Male's Chad Mendes versus Cub Swanson. Mendes won by decision. I mean, Mendes pretty much just controlled this whole fight. I remember within the first 2 minutes, there was a scramble, and then all of a sudden, Mendes takes down Swanson. Swanson can only do so little from his back, too. He was getting stifled pretty much. One thing I will say, and this is a big debate right now, and I think BJ Penn even brought it up, is like taking a guy down and not really doing much with it. Just what's called control, and or else the not so nice word is lay and pray versus actual ground and pound. I didn't even see much ground and pound from Mendes. I saw him when he did take Swanson down, he would kind of just lay on him. I'm not a big fan of that style fighting. Mendes won regardless if he did that or not. Swanson really didn't have much. Swanson was even fighting in desperation in the stand up, just kind of throwing pretty wildly, throwing some kicks that were, that easily missed a mark and whatnot, and kind of off balance. He was just, he wasn't really winning anywhere or anything, but, it's just one of those things where, lay and pray. It's becoming a little more apparent, especially with more wrestlers coming into MMA. I don't really know what the rules will be, but I also feel that because that's going to happen, I think the person on the bottom fighters really need to work from the bottom more. There's ways to get out from the bottom. Feet on hips, work an open guard more. Some of these guys, if this guy's laying on you, he's not trying to pass guard, work an open guard more. There's stuff you can do. I know a lot of wrestlers pin your hands down. I've been victim to that in my own jiu-jitsu classes. But you can go for, I feel that you can go for more risk if the guy is just planning to lay and pray. If he's not really trying to advance position, not really throwing any ground and pound, I think the guy on the bottom should really work on trying to get back off or just do something, because more wrestlers are just going to get into MMA, and that's the thing. As far as the fight goes, and who's next for these guys, Mendes, Javier Vasquez just won his fight against Mackin Semser, so I'd like to see Mendes versus Vasquez. You can fight guys like Leonard Garcia, people higher up there, and it definitely wouldn't be bad for him. If I don't expect Manny Gambarian to beat Jose Aldo, if Mendes versus Gambarian happens, I'd be cool with that. Honestly, I do think he can use a step up in competition now already. I know he's only had like 3 fights in the WEC. He's only finished, I believe it was Morrison, but I think he should at least move up, up some. I might be going a little too high as far as where he should go up to, as far as competition goes, but definitely needs to step up in competition. Cub Swanson, gatekeeper. I don't know what else to say about him. Let him fight like a Mackin Summerser maybe. Just anyone that's kind of in the mids right now that's kind of losing at 145. You know, really scrappy guy, you know, a good fighter, but yeah, he's kind of in the mid right now, you know, lower to mids. Next fight I want to talk about is Scott Jorgensen versus Brad Pickett. Jorgensen's probably going to get the next title shot against Dominic Cruz. He looked really good, but he looked really hittable too. His wrestling looked good. He didn't try too much of his front headlocks, if I'm not mistaken. His striking looks good, but once again, like it's technically crisp, but not too defensively sound. A lot of times, he was getting hit a lot, tagged a lot. I think he stays in the pocket for long periods of time than he really needs to be. But that's just his style. Even when I fight, I fight more outside the pocket anyways. So, I'm not really one to judge, if what he's doing is wrong or not. But as far as Pickett goes, though, he looked good. He looked really good. He was definitely there with Jorgensen the whole fight. I'd like to see him fight Antonio Banuelos, Jesse Benavidez. He can even fight Brian Bowles or Demarcio Page. Jorgensen is going to get Cruz. More likely than not. I'm really looking forward to that fight. Jorgensen's been on a roll at 135, excuse me. And I feel that he is definitely a very unique challenge to Cruz. So, yeah. That's it with the first part of this WEC 50 post-fight analysis. And just go to part 2.